Connor Wheeler. I'm from Christian Center Academy in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan, Canada. The illustrative story I will be performing for you today is entitled Gossip by A. McMillan and B. Schultz for ages 5 to 8. Jeremiah Jumpstart Jones stopped dead in his tracks. What was that he was hearing? Mrs. Abernathy seemed to be having a terrible fit of temper. He listened closely. "Never, I say never will allow you to go there again!" she was shouting. Was it anyone's fault that Jeremiah overheard this outburst? Hadn't he just been walking down the dusty street, minding his own business? Well, and here he was the one to hear Mrs. Abernathy, of all people, yelling loud enough for any passerby to hear. That was all Jeremiah needed. He raced down the street as fast as he could go, straight to the general store. "Bug-eye! Bug-eye!" he yelled as he saw his best buddy standing outside the store. "Hey, wait till I tell you what I just heard!" Bug-eye, better known as Robert to his family, leaned against the wall waiting for Jeremiah to reach him. "So, what exciting thing have you got to say, Jump?" he asked as Jeremiah came puffing up. "It's Mrs. Abernathy. She was yelling something fierce just as I was passing by her house. She must have been mad at Melissa because she starts yelling that Melissa is never to go someplace again. She must have been talking about school because Melissa wasn't there today. What do you make of it, Bugs?" Already, boys and girls, you can see that something here is very wrong, and it isn't what Mrs. Abernathy has said. It is how Jeremiah is stretching the truth, letting Bugs think Mrs. Abernathy said some things she didn't say. She hadn't even mentioned your daughter's name, had she? Let's see how far this is going to go. Bug-eye looked at Jeremiah in shock. "Wait till my ma hears this. She's been saying all along those Abernathys are too religious for their own good. And here the missus is yelling at her kid for all the world to hear. I gotta go." And he didn't have far to go because his ma was just stepping out of the hardware store as he came around the corner. Ma, you gotta hear this!" he shouted at her. "Would you lower your voice, Bugs?" she yelled back at him. "Do you want the folks to think I never touch your no matters?" Sure, Bug-eye said. "But listen, you gotta hear this. I just heard something that won't surprise you one bit." "Well, get on with it, will you?" she replied as though she wasn't interested. "And hurry it up. I got more to do than stay here jawing with you." "Melissa Abernathy got kicked out of school today. Now how do you like them apples?" Bug-eye said triumphantly. Well, Bug-eye's ma nearly keeled over. "You sure?" she asked. "Well, I knew that religious stuff was all show anyway. I ain't surprised at all. That Mrs. Abernathy told me once they made their kids obey them." "Could have seen this coming. Yes," said Edie. And with that, she scurried off to the bed to find someone else to tell. She pushed her way to the front of the lineup at Millie Marshall's wicket. "Well, Millie," she began, "I've got some news for you." Well, everybody in town knew that if Millie heard it, the whole town would hear it in no time flat. She peered through the wicket at Bug-eye's ma, her heart racing with the excitement of hearing some good gossip. Bug-eye's ma leaned over the counter and whispered real loud. "Did you hear that Melissa Abernathy got kicked out of school today? I bet her daddy didn't pay his school bill." Millie's eyes grew round. "I bet Mr. A lost his job. That lumber business hasn't been doing very well." While the two ladies continued to whisper, no one noticed Bert Beacon slip from the lineup and leave the bank. He was very distressed about what he had heard. The Abernathys had led him to the Lord, and now they were in trouble. He could only think of one thing to do, and that was go straight over to their house and see if he could help in any way. As he opened the gate to the Abernathy yard, he saw Melissa, calmly enjoying an ice cream cone on the front step. She looked up. "Hi, Mr. Beacon," she said cheerfully. "Dad's not home from work yet, but I'm sure Mom would make you an ice cream cone if you like." Melissa scooted into the house to find her mom, while Bert glanced around rather puzzled. Melissa hadn't seemed upset at all. He looked across the street where Bug-eye and his mom, Jeremiah, Millie, and a few of the townsfolk had begun to gather. Just then, Mrs. Abernathy came on the porch with Melissa close behind her. "Goodness, Bert," she exclaimed. "You've caught us just at the right time. We've just finished cleaning up that awful mess that rascal Buttons created. I even had to keep Melissa home from school today to help me. You see, I've been stirring some paint, and when I turned my back, that dog not only jumped over the whole can, but stepped in the spilled paint too. When I tried to catch him, he ran all through the house. We've had quite a time trying to get the paint off those carpets. I don't think I've yelled at anyone as much as I did that dog. I wouldn't be surprised if the whole neighborhood heard me." Bert began to laugh. First just a chuckle, and then a deep down belly laugh until the tears began to roll down his cheeks. He looked across the street at the gossipy crowd and said, "I think they did. I think they did." Boys and girls, the Bible says that we shouldn't go about telling tales about other people, and especially not stretching the truth. Proverbs 10:19 says that the more talk, the less truth. The wise measure their words. Never gossip, boys and girls. Always speak the truth in love.